Uttarakhand's Pauri Garhwal region is among the many picturesque areas of the state. It is also one of the most dangerous. In the interior, not so well-known villages and small towns here, men, women and children live in perpetual terror of man-eating leopards. But it isn't only these wild cats that are pushed to human flesh in their battle to survive. Uttarakhand holds 11 elephant corridors, which act as routes for these non-territorial creatures. Often, in search of greener pastures, the elephants cover vast distances across the state. For thousands of years, the elephants of Uttarakhand have been moving from Corbett National Park to the adjoining Rajaji National Park in their time-honored journey. But today, their passage lay ruptured at several points. It is becoming increasingly difficult for elephants to carry out their journeys peacefully. Man-animal confrontations in Uttarakhand lead to several human casualties every year. But most deaths are caused by leopards. It is believed that in the last 5 years, more than 100 people in Uttarakhand have been killed by leopards, and several others injured. Many attacks take place in the far-flung, inaccessible regions of the mountainous terrain and sometimes go unreported. Shrikant Chandola, the chief wildlife warden of Uttarakhand, candidly admits the severity of the situation. But why point fingers at leopards alone? Humans are equally to be blamed for the situation, he says.
Usually tigers don't enter into direct damage to human life. Not normally. It's quite abnormal. We had 6 deaths in this winter, just the last winter. But that was unusual. It was quite unusual. And definitely we have not only a very high percentage of damage to human life by leopards, we have the highest damage to human life in the entire country.
By leopards?
Yes, sir. We lose almost something like 25 to 30% every year. One straight, simple reason for the man-animal conflict, man-leopard conflict, Garhwal and Kumaon Himalayas. We don't really have much prey base left there, due to maybe cultural reasons, maybe due to a lot of fire happening here annually, and it becomes all the more difficult for us to maintain healthy populations of leopards in the state.
The quest for the man-eaters moves thousands of kilometers across the Pauri and Tehri areas of Uttarakhand into the interior regions where people live in fear. The journey begins at Rudraprayag, the confluence of the Alaknanda and Mandakini rivers, and where Jim Corbett famously killed a man-eating leopard in 1926. Corbett's classic memoir, The Man-Eating Leopard of Rudraprayag, details the hunt for the elusive leopard. Over 80 years ago, Jim Corbett killed the widely feared man-eating leopard. But man and leopards still trespass on each other's territory, and often tragedy follows. To this day, reports of leopard attacks keep emerging from Pauri and other areas of Uttarakhand. The village of Jaigaon is home to about 60 families, struggling to make a living on the harsh, hilly terrain. For 10 years, the village has braved leopard attacks. An 8-year-old boy is literally snatched from his mother's hands. An elderly is playing with his granddaughter when a leopard pounces on her and vanishes with her. Living in the shadow of the leopard has taken its toll on the people of Jaigaon. Since 2008, a number of families have reportedly moved away to other areas of Uttarakhand. Residents of Jaigaon say these people abandoned their homes to escape the leopard attacks. Outside of a village, school-going children are the most vulnerable to attack. These children will have to walk 4 kilometers to reach the safety of their homes. Even trapping a man-eating leopard has its problems. Mainly the problem of what to do with it. Most zoos in India have a surfeit of leopards. Issuing permits to kill a man-eating leopard has its own share of problems. It is estimated that for every man-eating leopard killed, 3 innocent leopards die. It's no wonder that the struggle is spiraling out of control. A few hundred kilometers away, a different struggle is taking place in the forests of Uttarakhand. Corbett National Park is synonymous with the tiger, and with good reason. The Indian wildlife faces a major threat at the hands of the poachers as it fetches a high price in the international market. Jim Corbett, the legendary hunter-turned-conservationist, shot most of his man-eating tigers in this region. Even now, Corbett National Park is one of the best places in India to spot wildlife. But it isn't just the tiger that takes sanctuary at Corbett National Park. The elephants of the region have a historical passage which takes them across the forests and fields of the Rajaji Corbett belt. These migratory animals have created this distinct age-old route of travel. Today, the route is dissected. There are many reasons. The mushrooming of towns and cities in the area, felling of trees, and by highways and a railways track that cut across the route. These road signs consistently and strategically acknowledge the elephant's right of way. But too many circumstances are now crippling their path.
Between Rajaji and Corbett, what you'll find is the elephant habitat in this area has been confined to a very narrow strip of land at the foothills of Sivaliks and the outer Himalayas. And what has over the years, due to development like villages expanding or construction of road or railway line or national highways, this your corridor has been fragmented. So there's a lot of problem for the elephants to move in this area, because earlier there was the Tarai zone where they could go and they could travel from one place to the other place. And nowadays, since the Tarai has been usurped by the people for agriculture, the land, they can use only the Bhavar land along the foothills or going across.
The field director isn't exaggerating. Uttarakhand is the northwestern boundary of the elephant country. And a look at the crucial stretches of the elephant route across the state is bleak. The scenic Corbett-Kotdwar route is one of the lifeline for the marching elephants, and situated a few kilometers from this route is the small but populous town of Kotdwar. Step out of Kotdwar's boundary, and the forest envelops you without warning. A few kilometers away, on the route to the cantonment town of Lansdowne, lies one of the most important sections of the elephant corridor for elephants moving between Corbett and Rajaji National Parks. One of the most important sections, which today has shrunk to a narrow strip of land. If this corridor is blocked, the age-old elephant route will vanish. This stretch is, therefore, crucial to the survival of Uttarakhand's elephants. The burgeoning urbanization in Uttarakhand is bringing the elephant's march to a halt. At the same time, the leopards are finding themselves at the tender mercies of poachers. Lakhpat Singh Rawat is a school teacher from Gairsen, but he is not just that. Whenever a leopard is declared man-eater by the forest department, the first attempt is to catch the animal alive. But when the officials fail to trap the leopard, they approach Rawat. He is one of the few designated hunters of Uttarakhand, authorized by the department to shoot down man-eating leopards. Lakhpat Singh Rawat has an astonishing record. In the past 10 years, he claims to have killed 39 man-eating leopards. In 2009 alone, he tracked down and killed 12 leopards in the district of Pori.
लेपर्ड के लिए तो मेन चीज़ है, यदि हम उसका अगला दाव पढ़ लिया तो हम उसको तुरंत मार सकते हैं। यदि हमको उसके व्यवहार का ज्ञान नहीं है, उसका अगला दाव हम यदि पढ़ नहीं पा रहे हैं, तो हमको उसके पीछे ही जाना पड़ेगा, वो किस किल पे किल करेगा ही।
Lakhpat's words ring alarmingly true. Encroachment of forest tracts and vanishing prey base over the decades have shrunk the leopard habitat in Pori. This seems to have brought the leopard dangerously close to human settlements. Hours after interviewing Lakhpat, on the way to Pori, 2 leopards are seen on the roadside in quick succession. The blinding headlights and the rumble of the vehicle leave them unmoved. there is none of the usual quick responses to flee. Like leopards, the elephants of Uttarakhand too are passing through an existential crisis, but of a different kind. Elephant expert Vivek Menon says it's true that at least in Uttarakhand, the odds are stacked against the elephant. This is mainly because humans have not really understood the plight of these gentle giants, points out Menon.
Once these four biological factors are in place, they're big, therefore it's a nomad, it's intelligent and it's social. You understand an elephant, then you'll realize that if it has to be a nomad, it has to move from one forest to another for food, then it needs paths to migrate. Now you can define elephant corridor as those paths, those narrow strips of land that connect that habitat from which the elephant needs to move from one to the other to survive.
Once the elephants cross over to the Kotdwar forest range from the elephant corridor of Tudhgadhera, their problems remain. A railway line passes through Rajaji National Park, a major obstacle for elephants on the move. The state highway between Haridwar and Rishikesh also neatly bisects the park, forming a barrier to the road to freedom. Road signs shout out warnings to drivers to look out for elephants crossing. But this highway sees thousands of vehicles every day. A road sign can only go so far. In the face of so much traffic, it's impossible to imagine large lumbering animals making their way to safety.
The connection between Rajaji and Corbett, according to me, is the most critical one for elephants of Uttarakhand. There are others as well, but if Rajaji can be connected to Corbett, in a simple layman's perspective, the elephants in Uttarakhand are safe for the next 100 years.
But as critical as this is, containing the fragmentation and urbanization of land seems like a distant dream. Both the elephant and the leopard are scurrying for cover. But the problem is, there is not enough forest left for them to find a safe refuge. Human flesh is not its natural food, but necessity has brought the leopards of Pauri closer to civilization.
जंगल जो मतलब वास्तविक जंगल है उनको तो इंसान ने काट दिया और अपने घर के नज़दीक, आपने अभी भी कभी भी देखा होगा, घर के नज़दीक बिल्कुल नए जंगल बना दिए। तो हमने उसके आवास को तो छिन भिन कर दिया ना, और उसको आवास अपने बस्ती के नज़दीक दे दिया है।
A study by the Dehradun-based Wildlife Institute of India paints a frightening picture. Leopards in Uttarakhand largely depend on dogs and cattle for food. The near domestication of what was once a lonely, proud animal of the jungle is one of the most saddening outcomes of encroachment. age-old battle of survival. Man is pitted against animal, and neither can win. In Jaigao, it's the leopards preying on humans in a desperate attempt to live. In Corbett, the elephants are getting angry, and there is a lot that an angry elephant can do. Recently, in the nearby city of Rishikesh, an angry elephant turned rogue and crushed a couple. It took the forest department over 3 months to capture the elephant. And now, in several regions of Uttarakhand, the usually mild elephant's patience is being tested again. On the outskirts of Corbett Park's southern boundary lies this nondescript village of Semal Khalya. For the past several years, people of Semal Khalya claim that they are at the receiving end of repeated elephant attacks. As the sun goes down over Semal Khalya, the villagers wake up. Throughout the night, they struggle to save their crops against these intruders. The villagers have legitimate concerns, but so do the elephants, and so do the leopards. Jim Corbett described it best in the concluding chapter of The Man-Eating Leopard of Rudraprayag. Here was only an old leopard, wrote Corbett. The best hated and the most feared animal in India, whose only crime, not against the laws of nature, but against the laws of man, was that he had shed human blood with no object of terrorizing man, but only in order that he might live. The elephants walk the razor's edge in Uttarakhand, pushed by their sole intention to walk the path that they have walked for generations. The leopards too are finding themselves pushed to a corner. Until the scales balance out in the lush beauty of Uttarakhand, two sets of majestic animals will continue to live in uncertainty.